I deserve someone who can actually give me the life I want. My ex-girlfriend said while packing her designer bags that I had bought her for her birthday. Standing in the apartment I had been paying rent for, I stayed completely silent, handed her the rest of her stuff, and quietly started screenshotting every social media post she made about upgrading her life. What happened at her wedding 4 months later, when a woman burst in and threw pregnancy test results at the groom, made her realize she had destroyed the wrong person's life. I am Ryan, 28, and I still cannot wrap my head around what I witnessed this weekend. I teach high school math here in Charlotte. Nothing glamorous, but it is steady work, and I love what I do. My ex Brittany, 26F, and I were together for 3 years. I thought we had something solid. We talked about marriage, moving in together permanently, the whole future thing. But apparently I was wrong about everything. 4 months ago, Brittany sat me down and told me she was outgrowing our relationship, said she needed someone with more ambition and resources who could give her the lifestyle she deserved. She had been getting really into the social scene downtown, always posting about charity galas and networking events, constantly talking about meeting successful people. I should have seen it coming. She had started making comments about my job, my car, my apartment, little digs about how I was comfortable with mediocrity while she had bigger dreams. She would scroll through Instagram showing me these influencer couples with their expensive vacations and fancy restaurants, saying things like, "Don't you want more than this?" The breakup was brutal. She told me I was a good guy, but that she needed someone who could match her energy and ambitions. Said she couldn't see a future with someone who wasn't financially motivated. The whole conversation felt rehearsed, like she had been practicing it. When I asked if there was someone else, she swore there wasn't. Said she just needed to be single and explore her options with people who operated at a higher level. 3 days later, she was posting photos from some upscale wine bar downtown. A week after that, she was at a charity auction wearing a dress that cost more than my monthly salary. My buddy Tyler works catering for these fancy events and kept seeing her around, always with different older guys in expensive suits. I tried to move on, focused on work, started hitting the gym more, even went on a few dates. My friends were supportive, kept telling me I had dodged a bullet, but it still hurt, 3 years down the drain because I wasn't rich enough. Then 2 months ago, Tyler texted me something that made my blood run cold. He had seen Brittany at another charity event, and she wasn't alone. She was hanging all over some guy named Preston Whitmore III. Tyler recognized him because his family's name is on half the buildings downtown. Old money, serious wealth. But here's the thing. Tyler said Preston had just gotten out of a long-term relationship, some drama with his ex-girlfriend Victoria, who had apparently moved back to Atlanta after they broke up. Tyler didn't know the details but said it seemed recent and messy. Perfect timing for Brittany to swoop in. Fast forward to last month when my friend Mason, who knows people in those social circles, told me Brittany was engaged. Not just engaged, she was pregnant too. Apparently it all happened really fast. One day she is this guy's rebound. The next she is planning a wedding and picking out baby names. The whole thing felt surreal. This was the same woman who told me I wasn't good enough. And now she was about to marry some rich guy she had been dating for like 3 months. Mason said the wedding was going to be huge, some fancy venue, all of Charlotte's elite invited. Brittany had been posting non-stop about dress fittings and wedding planning, acting like she had won the lottery. That is when Tyler came to me with an offer I should have refused. He was working the wedding as part of the catering staff, asked if I wanted him to document the whole thing for posterity. Said he had a feeling it was going to be interesting, especially since he had heard rumors about Preston's ex-girlfriend being bitter about how fast he had moved on. I told him no at first, didn't want to be that bitter ex watching from the sidelines. But something about the whole situation felt off. The timeline was too convenient. The pregnancy too perfectly timed. Saturday morning, Tyler texted me, "Dude, you need to see this. The wedding is about to be legendary." I told him to document everything. 2 hours later, my phone started blowing up with videos that I still cannot believe are real. Edit. Holy shit. This is already getting attention. To answer some questions, yes, Preston Whitmore is from that Whitmore family. His great-grandfather built half of downtown Charlotte. And yes, Tyler got everything on video before security tried to confiscate phones. Edit 2. Some of you are asking about the ex-girlfriend Victoria. Apparently she had been radio silent since moving to Atlanta. No one at the wedding knew what was coming. Update with the full breakdown of what happened. Update 1 had to wait for things to cool down before posting this because the whole Charlotte social scene is still talking about what happened. Tyler sent me the full story along with video footage that is absolutely insane. First, let me give you the background I didn't know before. Preston Whitmore III isn't just rich, he is from one of those old Southern money families where reputation is everything. He had been with his ex-girlfriend Victoria for 5 years before they broke up about 4 months ago. But here is what nobody knew. The breakup wasn't as clean as Preston had been telling people. Tyler's sources, he has got connections everywhere through the catering business, told him that Preston had essentially ghosted Victoria. One day they were living together, talking about engagement. The next day he was telling her he needed space and wasn't ready for commitment. Victoria moved back to Atlanta to be near her family, and Preston immediately started hitting the social scene. That is when Brittany targeted him. What Brittany didn't know, what nobody knew, was that Victoria had discovered she was pregnant right after Preston dumped her. But instead of chasing after him or trying to trap him with the news, she had kept it quiet and handled everything on her own. She had been dealing with the pregnancy alone for months while watching Preston post photos with his new girlfriend on social media. Watching Brittany flaunt the relationship that Victoria had been working toward for 5 years. The engagement announcement was apparently the last straw for Victoria. She had been keeping the pregnancy private, but seeing Preston about to marry someone else, while she was carrying his child, pushed her over the edge. Tyler said Victoria had been planning this confrontation for weeks. She had gotten the wedding details from mutual friends who felt bad about how Preston had treated her. She had driven down from Atlanta specifically to crash the wedding. Now, here is what happened at the wedding. And I swear this sounds like a movie, but Tyler got it all on video. Everything was going normally. Fancy venue, string quartet, all of Charlotte's elite in attendance. Brittany looked like she thought she had won the lottery, designer dress, professional makeup, the works. Preston's family was there looking proud. Nobody had any idea what was coming. The ceremony started on time. Preston looked confident, probably thinking he would successfully trade it up from his old relationship. Brittany was glowing, probably calculating all that Whitmore money she was about to access. They got through the vows, the ring exchange, everything. The officiant was just about to pronounce them husband and wife when he got to that line. Usually that is just ceremonial bullshit, right? No one ever actually speaks up. But then the back doors of the venue burst open. Victoria walked in, but she wasn't alone. She was clearly pregnant, maybe 6 or 7 months, and she was carrying a folder of papers. The entire room went silent. Like, dead silent. You could hear her heels clicking on the marble floor as she walked down the aisle. Brittany's face went white. Preston looked like he had seen a ghost. Victoria walked straight to the altar, pulled out some papers from the folder, and threw them right at Preston's face. "Here is why this wedding shouldn't happen," she said loud enough for everyone to hear. "Those are the paternity test results showing you are the father of my baby." The chaos that followed was incredible. "Edit," Tyler said. The papers scattered everywhere and guests in the front rows could see they were medical documents. Apparently Victoria had been preparing for this moment for weeks. Edit 2. Preston's family immediately recognized Victoria and knew this wasn't some random crazy person. This was the woman their son had been with for 5 years before suddenly dumping her. Update coming with the full confrontation because it gets so much worse. Update 2 network went down at my school for 2 days. But honestly, I needed time to process the videos Tyler sent me because what happened next was absolutely legendary. So Victoria had just thrown the paternity test results at Preston, revealing she was pregnant with his child. The whole wedding party was in complete shock, but she wasn't done. Not even close. Preston tried to stutter out some response, but Victoria cut him off immediately. "Shut up, Preston. You have had 4 months to be a man about this, and instead you have been playing house with her," she said, pointing at Brittany. Then she turned to address the crowd of wedding guests. "We are talking 200+ people, including Charlotte's most prominent families, business leaders, politicians, the works. All the people Brittany had been desperately trying to impress for months. Ladies and gentlemen," Victoria said, "I apologize for interrupting your evening, but I felt you should know exactly what kind of people you are celebrating tonight." Then she started laying out the timeline that nobody knew. She told everyone that Preston had dumped her without explanation, right when their relationship was getting serious. That 2 weeks later he was already dating Brittany. That she had discovered she was pregnant, but chose to handle it with dignity rather than chase after a man who clearly didn't want her. But here is the part that destroyed Brittany completely. Victoria had done her research. She revealed that Brittany had been specifically targeting recently single wealthy men at charity events, that she had been asking mutual friends about Preston's finances and family connections before they even met, that the whole relationship was calculated from day one. Victoria had receipts, screenshots of Brittany's social media posts where she had talked about trading up from her basic teacher boyfriend, messages between Brittany and friends where she discussed her strategy for landing a rich husband. She didn't fall in love with Preston, Victoria announced to the room. She fell in love with his bank account, and she got pregnant on purpose to trap him, just like she planned. Tyler said the room was dead silent except for Victoria's voice carrying across the venue. Brittany was standing there in her wedding dress, completely frozen, probably realizing that her dream was turning into her worst nightmare. Then Victoria walked right up to Brittany and said, "You destroyed my relationship and stole my man while I was carrying his child. But congratulations. You are marrying someone who abandons pregnant women when things get complicated." That is when Preston finally found his voice and tried to defend himself. He started saying something about not knowing Victoria was pregnant, that she should have told him. Victoria turned on him like a fury. "I shouldn't have to trap you with a pregnancy to get basic respect," she screamed. "You were with me for 5 years, Preston. We were talking about engagement, and you dumped me via text message because you met someone younger." She pulled out her phone and started reading the breakup text Preston had sent her 4 months ago, in front of everyone. "Victoria, I think we want different things. I need space to figure out what I really want. Please don't contact me." She looked up at the crowd. "That is what 5 years got me." A text message. The wedding guests were pulling out their phones, recording everything. Tyler said at least 50 people got videos of the confrontation. But Victoria still wasn't done. She reached into her folder and pulled out more papers, bank statements, receipts, financial records. "Preston's been telling everyone he is financially independent," she announced. "But he has been using family trust funds to pay for her apartment, her car, her entire lifestyle. Money that was supposed to be for our future together." Preston's family was looking more and more uncomfortable. Apparently they hadn't known about Preston's spending habits. Then Victoria delivered the final blow. "And Brittany, that pregnancy you are so proud of. I got pregnant first. Your baby is going to have an older half-sibling you didn't know about. Hope you are ready to share that Whitmore inheritance. At least Preston chose to be with me." Victoria smiled. Not a nice smile, but the kind of smile that means someone's about to get destroyed. "Planned, honey. You poked holes in condoms. I have the receipts from your friends who were too drunk to keep your secrets." The gasps from the wedding guests were audible. Tyler said you could see people in the crowd covering their mouths in shock. "You baby trapped him just like you planned, but guess what? He baby trapped me first, and he didn't even know it." Security finally started moving toward the altar, but Victoria was already heading for the exit. "Enjoy your marriage," she called back. "Hope you are ready for 18 years of child support payments. To both of us." The venue cleared out within 30 minutes. Guests were posting on social media immediately. #CharlotteWeddingDrama started trending locally within an hour. Edit. Someone asked about Preston's family's reaction. They were apparently furious about the public embarrassment and the financial revelations. Old money families do not like their business aired publicly. Edit 2. Brittany's pregnancy timeline is now being questioned by everyone who knows both women. If Victoria is 6-7 months along and Preston dumped her 4 months ago, the math doesn't add up in Brittany's favor. Final update coming because the aftermath gets even more dramatic. Final update: had to get my phone fixed after dropping it at work. But the break from social media actually gave me time to process the absolute chaos that has unfolded since the wedding disaster. The karma train hasn't just kept rolling, it has become an avalanche. First, the immediate aftermath was even more dramatic than the wedding itself. Brittany completely melted down after Victoria left. Tyler said she was screaming at Preston about how he had ruined everything and demanding to know why he never told her about Victoria's pregnancy. Preston was just standing there in his tux looking like his entire world had collapsed. The wedding was obviously called off. Guests were streaming out while Brittany was still in the venue having a breakdown. Photos and videos were all over social media within hours. But that was just the beginning. Preston's family immediately went into damage control mode. The Whitmores don't mess around when it comes to public embarrassment. And this scandal was front-page material for the local society pages. They hired private investigators to verify Victoria's claims about the pregnancy timeline and Brittany's financial manipulation. They also started auditing Preston's spending to see exactly how much family money he had wasted on his affair. The results were devastating for both Preston and Brittany. Victoria's medical records confirmed she got pregnant while still in a relationship with Preston before he even met Brittany. The timeline was ironclad. Preston had gotten his long-term girlfriend pregnant and then abandoned her without knowing. Meanwhile, the financial audit revealed that Preston had been using family trust funds to pay for Brittany's entire lifestyle. Apartment, car, clothes, jewelry. Everything was bought with Whitmore money that came with strict family oversight. The family cut Preston off immediately, froze his accounts, took back the car he had bought Brittany, terminated the lease on her apartment. Everything disappeared overnight. But here is where it gets really good. Victoria's claim about Brittany poking holes in condoms turned out to be true. Those drunk friends she mentioned, they came forward with screenshots of Brittany's messages about her pregnancy strategy and how she was going to lock down Preston. The Whitmore family lawyers are now questioning whether Brittany's pregnancy constitutes reproductive coercion, which could have legal implications for any child support arrangements. Meanwhile, Brittany lost everything practically overnight. No apartment, no car, no designer lifestyle. She had to move back in with her parents in some suburb outside Charlotte, the same parents she had been embarrassed of when she was trying to climb the social ladder. But the real kicker, Preston wants nothing to do with either woman now. He's apparently so traumatized by the public humiliation and family consequences that he has checked himself into some kind of wellness retreat in California, basically hiding from his responsibilities while two women deal with pregnancies he caused. The Whitmore family is handling both situations through lawyers now. Victoria gets child support and a settlement for the emotional distress Preston caused by abandoning her. Brittany gets basic child support but nothing else. No access to family events. No recognition as part of the family. 3 weeks ago, Brittany started reaching out to our mutual friends asking about me. At first it was subtle, asking Tyler how I was doing, wondering if I was dating anyone. Then she started getting more direct. Last Tuesday she called me. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. "Ryan," she said, and I could hear tears in her voice. "I have been thinking about you a lot lately. About us." I just listened. "I made the biggest mistake of my life," she continued. "I threw away something real for something that was completely fake." She went on for 15 minutes about how sorry she was, how she had learned so much about herself, how she realized that stability and genuine love mattered more than money. When she finished, I asked her one question. "Are you only calling because Preston turned out to be a disaster?" The pause told me everything. "It is not about Preston," she finally said. "It is about realizing what I had with you was real, and what I chased was just an illusion." "You called me dead weight, Brittany," I told her. "You said I was holding you back from your potential. You planned to baby trap a man while we were still together. That is not someone making a mistake. That is someone showing their true character." She started crying then, saying she was pregnant and alone and scared. That her parents were disappointed in her, that her friends had all distanced themselves, that she had nowhere else to turn. "You should have thought about that before you decided I wasn't worth your time," I said, and hung up. She tried calling back multiple times, left voicemails about how I was the only good man she had ever known, how she would do anything to fix things, how she just needed someone who actually cared about her. I blocked her number. The funny thing is, my life has actually gotten significantly better since she left. I got promoted to department head at school with a nice salary bump, started dating Helen, a nurse practitioner who thinks teaching is noble work instead of a limitation. When Helen heard this whole story, she said something that really stuck with me. "Someone who truly loves you doesn't keep a spreadsheet of what you cannot provide them. That is the difference." Helen celebrates my wins instead of cataloging my shortcomings. She has never once made me feel like I need to prove my worth through my bank account. Yesterday, Tyler sent me one final update that perfectly caps off this whole disaster. Victoria had her baby, a healthy boy who is definitely going to be in the Whitmore family photos and inheritance plans. She is apparently doing well, got a huge settlement from the family, and is raising her son in Atlanta with full financial support. Meanwhile, Brittany is about 5 months pregnant, working at some retail job, and posting basic social media content, instead of the luxury lifestyle she used to flaunt. The social climbing crowd completely blacklisted her after the wedding scandal. Preston is still hiding in California, and his family has basically disowned him until he accepts responsibility for his actions. He has lost access to the family business and most of his trust fund. The ultimate irony. Brittany told me I was holding her back from her potential. Turns out her potential was getting publicly humiliated at her own wedding, losing everything she thought she wanted, and ending up worse off than where she started. I don't hate her anymore. I just feel sorry for her kid, who is going to grow up with a mother who chose greed over genuine love and a father who runs away when things get complicated. Thanks Reddit for following this absolutely insane journey. Sometimes karma doesn't just come back around. It shows up pregnant with receipts and destroys your wedding in front of half of Charlotte's elite. Edit. For everyone asking if I would take her back, absolutely not. The person I am now knows my worth. I deserve someone who chooses me first, not someone who comes crawling back after their master plan implodes. Edit 2. Tyler said he heard through the catering network that venues around Charlotte are now asking couples about potential disruptive ex-partners when booking weddings. Victoria's performance has become legendary in event planning circles.